My friend, as the sun rises and the first light of day touches the earth, God whispers to our hearts, "Be still and know that I am God." Every morning is a sacred invitation, a chance to start again, to walk closer with Him, and to let His word shape our path. The world may wake up in worry, but the child of God wakes up in worship. Before we rush into the noise of the day, we must first rest in the stillness of His presence. Today, I want to lead you into a strong morning prayer rooted in one of the most powerful passages ever written, Psalm 23. These words have comforted kings and shepherds, the weary and the strong, those in peace and those in pain. They remind us that no matter what this day brings, we walk with a shepherd who never leaves, never sleeps, and never fails. So take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Let's step into the presence of God and begin our morning with strength, peace, and faith that endures. When you rise in the morning before the noise of the world can reach you, let your first thought be this: the Lord is my shepherd. Those words are not just poetry, they are power. They are a declaration that you are not walking through this life alone. From the moment you open your eyes, your shepherd is already awake, already leading, already guarding your step. Before you scroll through your phone, before you think about the problems waiting ahead, take a deep breath and whisper His name. Because the direction of your day is determined by the first voice you choose to listen to. When you begin your morning with God, you choose order over chaos, peace over panic, faith over fear. The reason so many hearts live weary is because they wake up chasing strength instead of seeking the source of it. But when you begin with the shepherd, strength finds you. You are led, not lost. You are guided, not guessing. You are held by hands that know the path before you take a single step. Every shepherd knows his sheep by name, and your God knows you personally. He knows your worries before you can form them into words. He knows the doors you need to walk through and the ones that must stay closed. He knows what lies ahead in the unseen hours of the day, and He stands as your guard before every shadow. When you remember who leads you, fear loses its voice. No weapon formed against you can prosper when the Lord Himself is your shepherd. The world tells you to take control, to plan every moment, to rely on your own wisdom. But true strength is not in control, it is in surrender. When you surrender your morning to God, you are not giving up power. You are placing it in the right hands. The shepherd does not drive his sheep. He leads them with love. And when you follow Him, every step becomes secure, even when you cannot see the whole path. There will be mornings when your heart feels heavy, when yesterday's burdens try to climb into today. But that's when you must speak truth to your soul. I have a shepherd and He leads me. You may not know what the day will bring, but you know who brings the day. His presence goes before you like a shield of light, clearing obstacles you don't even see. The peace you carry comes not from your surroundings, but from the one who surrounds you. When David wrote those words, he wasn't sitting on a throne. He was in the fields watching over sheep. He understood what it meant to depend completely on the shepherd. Sheep don't worry about tomorrow. They follow. They rest when He says rest. They move when He says move. They trust the voice that leads them. That same trust is what God invites you into each morning. He is not a distant ruler. He is a present guide. He doesn't simply point the way. He walks with you in it. So when the morning light breaks and your mind begins to race with plans and pressures, stop and remember the shepherd who never sleeps. Whisper His name over your home, over your family, over your heart. Let your first thought each morning be a confession of faith, not fear. Let your first breath be gratitude. not anxiety. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. You will not walk in confusion. You will not live in lack. You will not be abandoned. You will be led, loved, and lifted by the one who holds the world yet still calls you his own. There is a sacred strength found in stillness. When the psalm says, "He leadeth me beside still waters," it paints a picture of peace that this world cannot give. God knows how easily we become restless, how quickly our minds begin to run ahead of his timing, how the weight of life can pull us away from his quiet presence. But the shepherd leads us back. Each morning he invites us to pause, to breathe, to sit beside those still waters where his peace flows deep and steady. Resting in his presence is not weakness, it is renewal. It is where your soul is refilled before the world begins to drain it again. So many wake up rushing. The alarm rings, the mind races, the hands reach for tasks before they reach toward heaven. But rushing leads to emptiness, while resting in his presence leads to strength. God does not want you to begin your day in panic. He wants you to begin it in peace. When you take time in the morning to be still before him, you are not wasting time. You are redeeming it. You are allowing his Spirit to shape your thoughts, guide your emotions, and prepare your heart for whatever the day will bring. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of God. You can be walking, working, moving, and yet remain still in your spirit. It means you are anchored in trust, unmoved by fear, grounded in his word. That's what the shepherd offers when he says, "Come beside still waters." It's not just about rest, it's about relationship. He doesn't drive you toward peace, he leads you to it. You follow him, and as you do, anxiety begins to fade, worry begins to loosen, and your heart begins to align with heaven's rhythm. The world around you may be loud, but the voice of the shepherd is gentle. He speaks in quiet moments, not through chaos. That's why the enemy tries so hard to keep you busy, distracted, and hurried, because he knows a still soul is a powerful one. When your heart is still before God, you can hear his direction clearly. You can discern his will. You can sense when to move and when to wait. And when you live with that kind of inner stillness, peace no longer depends on circumstances. It flows from within where his Spirit dwells. Resting in the stillness of his presence also means trusting his timing. There are seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, like your prayers are unanswered, your progress delayed. But those are often the moments when God is leading you beside still waters to teach you patience, dependence, and faith. Sometimes the shepherd stops the flock, not because he's forgotten the destination, but because he knows they need to rest before the next journey. You don't have to understand his pauses to trust his plan. When you pray in the morning, don't rush your time with him. Let silence speak. Let his word wash over your thoughts. Let his Spirit settle your heart. In those moments of quiet surrender, strength begins to rise. You realize that peace is not something you have to chase. It is something you find when you remain near the shepherd. The still waters of God's presence are always available, but only those who slow down can drink from them. So when the day begins, don't run ahead of grace. Sit beside the shepherd. Listen to his voice. Let his peace fill the places that fear has emptied. Because when you rest in him, you carry stillness into a restless world. And that stillness becomes your power, your protection, and your proof that God is with you. Every new morning carries within it the gift of restoration. When the psalm declares, "He restoreth my soul," it speaks of a God who knows the weariness of your heart and the weight you carry. Life has a way of draining us through disappointments, long nights of worry, unanswered prayers, and the constant noise that fills our minds. But the shepherd never leaves his sheep broken or empty. Each sunrise is his reminder that what yesterday took from you, he can restore. Restoration is not simply about getting back what was lost. It is about being renewed from within, strengthened where you were weak, and revived where you felt lifeless. When you wake and bow your heart in morning prayer, you are coming before the one who knows how to make all things new. God does not just patch up broken places, he breathes fresh life into them. He doesn't want you to live halfway alive, surviving on yesterday's faith. He wants your spirit refreshed, your mind clear, and your heart full again. This is why morning is so sacred. It is the time when heaven pours new mercy into an empty soul. The same God who restored David after failure, Peter after denial, and Job after loss is ready to restore you too. Restoration begins when you stop pretending you are strong enough on your own. It begins when you come before God just as you are, tired, bruised, and honest. The shepherd does not turn away from weakness. He draws near to it. In his presence, your soul finds healing. He takes the broken pieces of your heart and gently puts them back together, not the same as before, but stronger, softer, and more trusting. Sometimes he allows the breaking so that the restoration will reveal his power. There are moments when you feel as though you have lost your peace, your passion, your direction. You pray, but the words feel empty. You read, but the fire feels gone. Yet that is exactly where the shepherd restores you. He restores not just what was seen, but what was unseen, the hidden strength, the silent courage, the quiet joy. He restores the part of you that still dares to believe when everything else says give up. That restoration happens not in noise, but in nearness. The closer you draw to him, the more your soul begins to breathe again. God's restoration is often gentle. It's not a rush of emotion, but a steady returning of light where darkness once lived. It might come through a verse that suddenly speaks life again, through a prayer that touches your spirit, or through a simple awareness that God is still with you. That is the shepherd's touch. He knows how to restore you exactly where you are hurting, how to refill the well that